Hi everybody, welcome to Right to the Top. I'm Adam. In today's video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. As you can see, I'm sitting here at my desk. I'm recording on my phone. I have a screen recorder going on my computer that's in front of me. So I'll be looking at my screen and back at you guys here and there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write an IELTS essay from beginning to end. I'm going to go through the 40-minute process with you, so it's in real time. It's an essay that I've never written before, so it's going to be new for me, and I'll show you the process I go through, and I'll walk you through it and talk you through it, and hopefully this will help you with your own practice and your own test. So how it's going to work is I'm doing a screen recorder, so I'm going to show you everything that I'm doing, and you're going to hear me typing. Again, just as a side note, I'm a terrible typist. Don't freak out when you see me looking down at my keyboard and typing. That's just how I do it. I'm not a very fast typist either, but I'll manage to do it in time. My handwriting is actually worse, so I won't put you through that torture. So let's start. So before I begin, I collected a whole bunch of tasks. I have I think about 100 tasks here. I got them from different sites on the internet, and just a word of warning, there are a lot of bad tasks out there. Be very careful where you get your practice tasks from, because some of them will actually hurt your practice, because the way they're structured, some of these questions will actually be very difficult to answer. Some of the questions that are posted on there will never appear on the test. They're a little bit too controversial or too irrelevant, or some of them are not even actually questions. There are also spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes, so I fixed as many as I could, and I added my own and I got from other places. I'm going to write a separate blog. I'll do a bit of research and find out some good sites for you guys to go get materials from. So here we go. What we're going to do is I have a whole bunch of tasks. I'm going to just randomly go through them and just pick one. Oh, okay, where are we? Okay, here's my task. So let's see what that is. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to put it into my new document here. There's my task. So I've never seen this before. I'm going to look at it same as you guys. I have a clock here that I'm going to start. I'm going to give myself 40 minutes. Again, not exactly. You can take a few minutes more, a few minutes less, and do use them for your task 1 summary or the letter for the general test. I'm going to approach this as an academic test. So I want the higher level vocab, the more sophisticated grammar. But I'm going to give myself 40 minutes and leave myself 20 minutes for the task 1. And good suggestion, do your essay first. It's worth more points. So let's get this started. Yeah, I guess you guys can't really see that here. Oh, there it is. I'll put it down here. Hopefully it won't get in the way. Actually, it probably will, but anyway, let's start by looking at the actual question. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for myself. Some people claim that immigrants should adopt the local culture when they arrive in a new country. Others think that they should maintain their culture instead. Discuss both views and give your opinion. So right away, I understand that I'm looking at both views and I'm giving my opinion on a topic. So right away, I know the type of essay I'm going to be working with. I'm going to look at both sides. I'm going to either choose one or give a balanced argument depending on what ideas I come up with. So some people claim, others think, so it's a two-sided thing. We're talking about immigrants, and they should adopt the local culture or maintain their culture. So those are the two sides of the debate that I'm going to be looking at. So I'm going to talk about, let's go in the middle here. I'm talking about immigration and culture. Oh, by the way, I turned off the spell checker. I turned off the grammar checker, so I'm on my own here. And if you see mistakes, hopefully I'll see them too and fix them. Okay, so I have two ways to look at it. They can adopt or they can maintain. They can adopt the new culture of the host country. They can maintain their original culture that they came from whatever country they came from to the new country. So some ideas. So what am I going to talk about? What are the benefits or detriments of adopting a new culture? One, you assimilate. If you adopt a new culture, you become part of the community. And I'm going to think about An excellent example of that is the US, where they have something called the melting pot. In America, everybody is American first and whatever else second. You assimilate, you become part of the community, you can learn local customs and the language. Whoa. Oh, okay, sorry. It automatic fixes it, so I should have turned that off too. I thought I did. Anyways, I know how to spell language, don't worry. So learn local customs and language. Part of the community, you can assimilate. What are some bad things? You lose your culture. A lot of people, especially like we'll talk about second gen, like the second generation, the kids of immigrants become more of the local than they are of the original. So you can lose your culture, your second generation, which could lead to a gap or communication breakdown. Like parents and their children don't know how to speak because the children are more American, the parents are from whatever country they came from. What else could be a bad thing about adopting? What else can you say? Again, don't forget, take your time and think about these things because you need to know what you're going to write about before you start writing it anyway. Lose your culture. Okay, we'll leave that for now. I can't think of anything at the moment. I'm sure something else will come up. Again, so the opposite is if you maintain your culture, you maintain your heritage. So another thing I'm going to say here, you get a global culture, which some people think is a good thing. Maintain your heritage. Maintain your heritage. Keep a language alive. Right, so languages are dying out all over the place. English is taking over, for example. A lot of people are forgetting their ancestral language. If for some people, it's important to respect your ancestors, the people who came before you. You don't want to forget them, what they did, how they built. Maintain, so again, in Canada, which is a little different from the US, we have something called a cultural mosaic. So in Canada, everybody keeps their culture and then becomes Canadian. So you're Indian, you're Chinese, you're European, whatever, first, and then you're Canadian second. Again, some people think it's good, some people think it's bad. In terms of being bad, there is no uniformity. Right, so if somebody comes to Canada, they think what country, what is Canadian? What does it mean to be Canadian if there's so many different cultures and everybody's keeping their own culture? Again, good or bad depending on who you are. So, I'm going to go with adopt because it seems to me a bit easier to write this essay. And I have enough ideas. Now, remember, once you choose a side, you don't need to spend too much time looking at the other side. You need to discuss both sides, yes, but you can discuss one side while supporting the side that you actually picked, the side that you chose to argue for. So make sure you keep that in mind as well. So I have my ideas. I'm going to start my introduction. What am I going to do with my introduction? How am I doing for time here, by the way? I've got lots of time. What am I going to do? I'm going to start by making sure that I understood the task, and I'm going to paraphrase it, right? So I'm going to start with a general idea about immigration, okay? So these days, more and more people are moving to new countries to begin a new life. That's it. So immigration. Immigration is happening. That's what I'm saying, right? While some people, well, I don't want to use some people because that's in the tasks. there are those who argue that these newcomers, immigrants, synonym. Don't want to use the word immigrants too often in this essay. Okay, so there are those who argue that these newcomers should take on the customs, adopt, synonyms, take on the customs of their host nation. Others believe that they should preserve their ancestral heritage. While both opinions have merit, I agree with the former because a nation has to function as one in order to succeed. Okay, so what am I saying here? And how many words do I have here so far? I have 64 words, reasonable. You don't want to get too long on the introduction. You want to spend more time developing your body paragraphs. So these days, more and more people, let's see the task itself, more and more people are moving to new countries to begin a new life, immigration. There are those who argue, one side, that newcomers should take on the customs of their host nations. And take on, yes, you can and should use phrasal verbs. Don't be afraid of them. Just don't use slang ones or casual ones. Take on the customs of their host nation, so the new country. Others believe, and I have, there are those who argue, okay, I have to put a period here and start a new sentence. Others believe they should preserve their ancestral heritage. So some believe this, some believe that, and I paraphrase the task and use different words, synonyms, etc. While both opinions have merit, so right away I'm suggesting that there are good arguments to both sides, which I will discuss. I agree with the former because a nation has to function as one. So I take a side, I take a very clear side in my thesis, and I give a main, very general reason why I chose this particular side and not the other, right? So now, right away, I need to start supporting my thesis. I need to start explaining right away why I agree that they should adopt their local culture, okay? Okay, so a prosperous, wealthy, successful, etc. Country is one, a prosperous country is one that utilizes the power of its citizens. Actually, I'm much better when I type quietly. So as I type, I'll shut up. You guys can just see what I'm doing here. I'm going to change here, people, and use this word here. Okay, let me take a little break and explain. So a prosperous country is one that utilizes the power of its people. So right away, I'm talking about people power, people as a group having a certain power to help the country. So a nation that has a united citizenry has a common goal. So how do they become, okay, the power of speech, how do they become prosperous? They have a united, all the people working together for a common goal, so have common goals, I should say. Which are to become strong, economically secure. So strong could be like militarily strong, economically secure. They have money, everybody is pretty well off, nobody's living on the streets, or hopefully everybody has a job, and free from outside influence. They don't want other countries telling them what to do, when to do it, how to do it, etc. So the first step in securing these goals, aims, synonyms, is to create a communal feeling among the residents. So whoever lives there has to feel like they're a part of a community. This begins with language and customs. For example, if everyone, for example, in the USA, people people subscribed Okay, so this begins with language and customs. For example, in the USA, people subscribe to the idea of the melting pot. I told you I'm not a very good typist, which emphasizes being American first and Asian, African, South American, or South American second. In this way, everyone can take pride in the nation as a member of it and work in unison to propel it forward, to push it forward, move it forward. Okay. And contrast. So now I'm going to give you a little bit of a contrast. So I'm going to be able to speak about the other side. This way I'm having a discussion of both views, but not focusing too much on the side that I don't actually agree with, right? In contrast, if every community cared only about maintaining its own I used customs already a couple of times, I think. So maintaining its own traditions, then the goal of the nation becomes secondary. So right away, I'm showing a contrast. This is why it doesn't work to maintain the culture. It's better to adopt the local culture. But so I mentioned something about language and customs, so I should probably give an example of these as well somewhere, right? Communal feeling. Okay, I'm going to take this guy out, in fact. I'm going to put it here, maybe use later. Okay, so communal feeling, and the example of the communal feeling is the melting pot, so make sure your ideas connect. Okay, so actually, let me just see how many words I have here so far. 181. 185. Keep in mind, if you're taking the computer test, there is a word counter so you know where you're at. If you're doing the paper test and you're writing, just make sure that you have an idea of what 250 words looks like, so you make sure you get above that amount. Just a quick look at the clock, 22 minutes. I'm halfway there. Okay, so you know what? I'm talking about the power of the people. I'm talking about the unity. Let's figure that out. Let's put language and customs in the second paragraph. If everybody cared, so here we're talking about separation. I have a good contrast. Okay, so another reason that adoption is quiet now. What did I write here in my things? I talked about local customs and language. I'm going to talk about second generation. I'm going to talk about integration into the system, which is basically assimilation. You want to speed it up so that you can get along with everybody and get along and be successful in this country much more quickly. Okay, I'm not going to use an example yet I haven't made. Make it easier for myself to read. That's why I do the justified. Another reason that adoption is preferable is that it speeds up one's integration into the system. I don't need integration here. This includes things like finding a job, making friends, establishing a social safety net. For example, getting social security, making sure that your neighbors know who you are, people know who you are, so you're a little bit safer. Police can respond, ambulance can respond, etc. This begins with language and customs. If people can communicate effectively in their environment, I'll put, just for new words, this can be seen in the okay, how do I transition here? So let me look at my time again. Oh, it's not quite okay. Again, you don't have to hurry. 40 minutes is actually a lot of time. As long as you have your ideas already thought out, as long as you planned it out, you don't have to think too much. What you have to think about is your sentence structures and how to connect ideas and make sure that you're flowing from one idea to the next. Okay, anyway, let me get back. Okay, let's see what I have so far. So another reason that adoption is preferable is that it speeds up one's integration into the system. This includes things like finding a job, making friends, establishing a social safety net, and so on. This begins with language and customs. If people can communicate effectively in their environment, they can begin to build up their new life successfully. This can be clearly seen among the second generation of immigrants, these young people who were raised in the local culture and speak the language. I have a problem spelling this word for some reason. Speak the language fluently, tend to be more successful than their parents, right? Like the younger generation, they go to school, they get into the colleges, they find jobs, they make more money. They tend to have again, what is more successful? Generally, people think about successful as having more money or having a house or having a good profession, etc. But not always the case, but in general, this is what happens. The second generation does better than the previous one. So these young people who are raised on the local culture and speak the language fluently tend to be more successful than their parents. This suggests that if the parents had adapted to the new home more quickly, they might have been more successful, right? So adapted to them more quickly rather than holding on to their past, they might have been more successful. So right away, holding on to their past, this is the other side. So you notice, when I discuss both sides, I don't need to discuss them equally. And this is a mistake a lot of people make. They use one paragraph to talk about why one side is good. They use the second paragraph to talk about why the other side is good. But then in the thesis, they say, oh, this side is better. But if you give me an equal argument for both sides, I don't understand why you think one is better. If they're both good arguments, say that they're both good. But in a task like this, it's a very clear choice. You either adapt or you maintain. You can't really do both. I guess you could. You could adapt and keep your thing at home. That's a whole other thesis that I didn't look into. I very clearly in my thesis chose one side. I very clearly in my body have to say why that side is better, with a little bit of notice to the other side, right? If you mention why the other side is not as good, you're still discussing it. That's the key to remember here. Now, how many words do I have so far? I think I'm basically done here. 303. Wow, it's actually too long now. So, in conclusion, while one's So in conclusion, while one's heritage is certainly important, it can be a detriment to one's ability to integrate into a new culture and contribute to its success. Therefore, immigrants should do their best to quickly adapt to their new homes. Okay, and that's it. Basically, I'm done. Let me just do a little quick word count here again. Let's go here, 9. You guys can see the whole thing. Oh, it's a bit too small. Sorry. I have 343. Now, how much time do I still have? I still have 12 minutes. Okay. Now, again, obviously, I don't have to worry about grammar. I don't have to worry about vocabulary. I don't have to worry about making sure ideas connect. So I can do this much more quickly. But even though I can do it quickly, I've still written too much. 343, too long. Does it hurt me? No. Because at least I'm staying on topic and I'm adding things, I'm adding clear ideas and I'm saying things that need to be, I'm including things that need to be included. a lot of people write too much, but don't actually add anything to the argument. So be careful about that. Around 300, 310 is a good length. I could probably cut some things out here, but for now, I won't worry about it too much. So now I'm gonna take this extra time. I could go ahead and write my task 1 and take my time with it and write it well as well. But I'm gonna take a couple of minutes. I'm gonna read through it one more time, make sure I don't have any typos, make sure I don't have any grammar mistakes or vocab mistakes or ideas that don't necessarily connect. And just a little bit of a review for you guys. So these days, more and more people are moving to new countries to begin a new life, immigrants. There are those who argue that these newcomers should take on the customs of their host nation. Others believe that they should preserve their ancestral heritage. Here's the debate. One side says this, one side says that. While both opinions have merit, it means I'm going to look at both ideas, but I'm not going to necessarily show the merit of the other one. While both opinions, I'll say have merit, I agree with the former, which is that they should take on the customs of their host nation, because a nation has to function as one in order to succeed. And now I'm going to explain what this means. So a prosperous country is one that utilizes the power of its people. As such, a nation that has a united citizenry. So again, I talked about a nation functions as one, a united citizenry, have common goals, which are to become strong, economically secure, and free from outside influence. These are already examples. I'm elaborating on what I mean by these goals. The first step in securing these aims is to create a communal feeling among the residents. So you have to make them feel like they're part of the community. For example, in the USA, how do you make them feel communal? People subscribe to the idea of the melting pot, which emphasizes being American first and Asian, African, or South American second, for example. In this way, everyone can take pride in the nation as a member of it, and I'm going to change this to equal member, because I don't like of it. Doesn't sound good. As an equal member and work in unison. So I got united, I got communal, I got unison. I'm very much stressing this idea. Work in unison to propel it forward. In contrast, if every community, so again, united, communal, and unison, I'm showing a range of vocabulary. So my LR score is going up right now. Propel, not a very common verb, right? Push forward, move forward. In contrast, if every community cared only about maintaining its own traditions, then the goal of the nation becomes secondary. So that's not good. So first, the nation. Another reason that adoption is preferable, so notice I'm have a very clear transition. Another reason. I gave one reason, here's another one, I'm going on to a different focus. Make sure you have this transition. The examiners are looking for this very specifically. Another reason that adoption is preferable is, again, why I choose adoption, is that it speeds up one's integration into the system. So again, it's still integration. It's still part of the whole. You have to be one in the whole. This includes things like finding a job, making friends, establishing a social safety net, and so on. This begins with language and customs. If people can communicate effectively in their environment, they can begin to build up their new life successfully. This can be clearly seen among the second generation of immigrants. These young people, so now I'm giving you a very clear, specific, concrete example. These young people who were raised on the local culture and speak the language fluently, so why are they more successful? Language and customs tend to be more successful than their parents. This suggests that if the parents had adapted to their new home more quickly, rather than holding on to their past, they might have been more successful. So just more confirmation that holding on to the past, not necessarily a good thing. In conclusion, while one's heritage is certainly important, it can be a detriment to one's ability to integrate into a new culture and contribute to its success. Therefore, immigrants should do their best to quickly adapt to their new homes. Just a quick summary of the general idea I gave in the essay. Again, a little bit long, not gonna hurt you if it's on focus and good vocab, good grammar, and all that stuff as well. So I guess I'm done. I have a little bit time to spare. I'm going to take these 7 minutes. I'm going to put them towards my task 1, which I'll do in a separate video. I'm not going to bore you guys with another live action writing sample. But if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click the like button, click the notification button. And if there's a good enough response to this on YouTube, I will definitely attempt to do this as a live stream and help get ideas from you guys and put your ideas into these essays. I think this will be very useful for people to participate in something like this. If you have any questions, ask them below. I will put a copy of this essay and the task on my website. I'll put a link to it in the YouTube section below as well. And come back next time. I'll have some new videos for you. I'm going to do some grammar, some vocab, some writing tips, more writing samples, some assessments, all kinds of different stuff. Okay? I'll see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.